And so there we have it. It is now official. 45-year-old Paul Ryan of Wisconsin becomes the 62nd Speaker of the House. We saw the warm welcome that he received, as well as the warm wishes that people had for the outgoing Speaker, John Boehner. Paul Ryan is the youngest Speaker since 1869 to hold this position. And in his remarks, we heard him talk about not settling scores. He talked about the fact that the House is broken, he said, and that now it was time to wipe the slate clean.
And it was actually 5 weeks ago tomorrow that we first heard of Boehner's resignation, and it started this whole whirlwind of action. Congressional correspondent Nancy Cortez has been following it from the beginning. She has been watching this unfold today. And Nancy, I'm curious, you know, most of the hardliners from within the Republican Party, they voted for him, but still there were some others that cast votes for other people. So does he still face some major hurdles going forward?
There were a few, Meg, about 9 Republicans who voted for Daniel Webster of Florida rather than Paul Ryan. But that was even fewer, actually, than we expected. There were a few leaders of the Freedom Caucus, which is that group of about 40 or so very conservative members who were looking for big changes in the way things are run around here, changes that Speaker Ryan was not willing to give them, who were all supporting Webster in the Republican conference. But when Webster didn't win, most of them threw their support behind Paul Ryan today, including a few leaders of the Freedom Caucus who we would have expected would have gone for Webster. So I do think that Paul Ryan goes into this role with his hands strengthened and gave a speech, frankly, that was really extending an olive branch to the other side, saying that a respected minority works with the majority, a neglected minority stands in the way, basically sending a message to both sides that he intends to work with Democrats and that he's going to try to tackle the big issues that a lot of people around here for a long time, frankly, just didn't think it was even worth it to try because they just never thought that the two sides in the state, the political state that we're in right now, would ever be able to work together.
Yeah, in fact, Nancy, when he talked about the Democrats, he said, if you ever pray, let's pray for each other. Republicans for Democrats, Democrats for Republicans. That was an interesting moment. But back to the Republican side of things, you say that he enters now with a bit of a strengthened hand, and yet at the same time, you know, I was looking at Twitter as he was speaking, and Heritage Action, the political arm of the Heritage Foundation, sent out a statement from their chief executive officer who basically said that conservatives have delivered Republicans historic majorities in both the House and Senate, and they have a right to expect results. No member of Congress is above accountability. Heritage Action will continue to advocate positive pro-growth policies that provide opportunity for all, favoritism to none, while providing real-time accountability when leaders and members stray. So I guess my question to you is, that still is the sentiment, obviously, among some conservatives who are making very clear with this kind of statement that they are keeping a very close eye on Paul Ryan.
Right, and that dynamic is not going to change. There are a handful of conservative groups like Heritage Action who have not found much to like in the leadership of the Republican Party for the past few years. And so Ryan is really going to have to decide how much does he listen to groups like that who frankly have expectations that most Republican leaders say are unrealistic, or does he try to forge a new path? And that is really going to be a big dilemma, because any kind of big negotiation that takes place between Democrats and Republicans, say on tax reform or on immigration or any of these thorny issues, if you embark on these negotiations, it is true that there are going to be compromises that the far-right groups don't like. So the question is, do you just decide not to try because inevitably they are going to rise up and make a lot of noise, or do you give it a go? I think Paul Ryan comes down on the side of giving it a go. He's been successful before in negotiating with Democrats. He negotiated one of the biggest budget deals we've seen around here in decades just a couple of years ago. And you know, then we'll see what kind of progress he makes. Does he get discouraged if some of his right flank sort of rise up and say, no, we don't want this, or does he persevere? But this is a challenge that Republican leaders have been dealing with ever since the rise of the Tea Party in 2010. That energy, that passion, those numbers are what gave them the Republican majority in the first place. But it also means that they've got a more unwieldy conference to deal with, because they do have dozens of members who are looking for big progress on their signature issues and who get very frustrated when they don't see the progress that they came here hoping to implement.
His speech was very optimistic. His first tweet as Speaker was very short and to the point, just saying, let's do this. It seems as if there is a new energy that he is trying to put out there.
Sure, and just like any new leader, whether it's a new president, a new Speaker of the House, often you've got your most political capital right in the beginning, right? Before people get angry at you for this decision or that decision. So it always behooves a new leader to act quickly, to sort of jump on it and try to work on their signature issue first. In the case of Paul Ryan, we don't quite know yet which issue he's going to try to tackle right off the bat. But yes, you know, he is interested in showing that if he is going to take this job, a job that he never sought, a job that he was quite clear that he didn't want, then he wants to make the most of it, and he wants to have some real results to show for it.
All right, our Nancy Court is on Capitol Hill with an eye on all the action today. Nancy, thank you so much for your insight.
You're so welcome.